If you've ever felt completely drained after a party, not because anything went wrong, but just because there were people, you already understand something most psychology textbooks take pages to explain. And if you've ever met someone who walks into a crowded room and genuinely comes alive, not performing, not pretending, just visibly energized by the noise and the movement and the presence of other people, that's not a personality quirk. That's a fundamental difference in how two types of nervous systems process the world. This isn't about shyness, it's not about social skills, it's not about confidence or anxiety or being good or bad at people. It goes deeper than that. It goes all the way down to how the brain seeks and manages stimulation. And once you understand that, everything else starts to make sense. The most common way people explain the difference is through energy. Introverts lose energy in social situations, extroverts gain it. And while that's not wrong, it's a little too simple, because it makes it sound like introverts just don't like people. That's not what's happening. What's actually happening has to do with stimulation. The introvert's nervous system tends to be more sensitive to external input, more reactive. Sounds, conversations, social demands. They register more intensely. So after a while, the brain starts signaling enough. Not because the people were bad, not because the evening wasn't enjoyable, but because the system is running at capacity. The extrovert's nervous system works differently. It has a higher stimulation threshold. It needs more input to feel engaged, alive, present. The same crowded room that leaves an introvert exhausted actually brings an extrovert into focus. The noise isn't overwhelming, it's activating. Neither system is broken, they're just calibrated differently. Once you understand the stimulation difference, you start noticing it everywhere, in the small behaviors that seem unrelated on the surface. The introvert who takes forever to reply to a text, it doesn't mean they're ignoring you or that they don't care. It often means they're composing internally before they express externally. Introverts tend to process deeply before they speak or write. There's a whole conversation happening internally that you just can't see. The extrovert who thinks out loud, who talks through a problem in real time, sometimes changing direction mid-sentence, that's not disorganization. That's how their processing works, through expression. Speaking isn't just output for them, it's part of the thinking itself. The introvert who says they need time alone to recharge, people sometimes take that personally, as if they're being avoided. But it's not social rejection, it's more like a biological necessity. The same way sleep isn't optional, solitude isn't optional for an introvert. It's restoration. The extrovert who gets restless or irritable when they've been alone too long, who starts reaching for the phone, suggesting plans, looking for any kind of contact. That restlessness is real. It's the nervous system seeking the stimulation it needs to function well.
And here's where it gets interesting. Most people think the introvert-extrovert divide is about how much someone likes people. Introverts prefer solitude. Extroverts prefer company. But that framing misses something important. There are introverts who love people deeply, who have rich, close friendships and genuinely enjoy connection. They just reach their limit faster. There are extroverts who can be thoughtful, introspective, even quiet in the right context, but cut them off from human interaction for too long, and something starts to dim. The real difference isn't social preference, it's stimulation management. How much input the brain can absorb before it tips into overload or boredom. And that shapes everything. How someone recovers from stress, whether they work better alone or in a team, how they make decisions, how they handle conflict. Introverts tend to go inward first, process privately, then respond. Extroverts tend to externalize immediately, talk it out, find resolution through expression. Neither approach is more mature, neither is more evolved. They're just different paths to the same destination. Here's something that doesn't get talked about enough. The way your nervous system processes stimulation doesn't just affect your behavior. Over time, it shapes your identity. An introvert who grew up in a loud, extroverted household may have learned to see their need for quiet as a problem, too sensitive, antisocial, a burden. They may have spent years overriding their own signals, pushing through social exhaustion, performing extroversion, telling themselves they just needed to try harder. An extrovert who grew up in a quiet, more introverted environment may have learned to see their need for stimulation as too much, too loud, too eager, overwhelming. They may have spent years dimming themselves down, being quieter than felt natural, apologizing for their energy, treating their vitality like an inconvenience. Neither of those stories is about a personality flaw. They're about a mismatch between who someone is and what their environment expected them to be. And when you spend long enough being told your nature is wrong, you start to believe it. You start to carry it, not as a preference you have, but as a defect you are. That shift from "this is how I work" to "something is wrong with me" is one of the quietest and most damaging things that can happen to a person's sense of self.
One more thing worth noting. Most people aren't fully one or the other. Pure introverts and pure extroverts exist, but they're the ends of a long spectrum. Most people sit somewhere in the middle, sometimes called ambiverts, with tendencies that shift depending on the environment, the people, the season of life they're in. Someone can be deeply introverted in a professional setting and genuinely extroverted among close friends. Someone can need solitude after a week of high social demand, even if in most weeks they're energized by connection. Context matters, stress matters, life stage matters. What stays consistent isn't the behavior, it's the underlying need, the need for restoration through quiet or through contact. That need doesn't change much, but how it shows up can look different depending on the day. The introvert-extrovert divide isn't really about personality, it's about nervous system design, about how much stimulation a brain needs and how it responds when it gets too much or not enough. Everything else follows from that. The texting habits, the social limits, the way someone processes a hard conversation, the need for space or the need for presence. It all makes sense once you trace it back to the source. You've probably been one of these people your whole life without fully understanding why you work the way you do. Maybe you thought your limits were weakness or your energy was too much. Maybe you adjusted yourself to fit a world that was calibrated for a different kind of nervous system. Once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it, and that awareness, that quiet recognition, changes how you relate to yourself, how you give yourself permission to recover, how you stop apologizing for what you need. It was never a flaw, it was always just how you were built.